This episode is brought to you by Real Girl Talk partners and sponsors.
You are listening to Real Girl Talk Podcast Radio. I am your host, Sherry. Each one of these episodes will provide you an opportunity to recognize, develop, and achieve all God has for you, bringing you incredible guests, faith-filled messages that will motivate you to reboot, regroup, and reinvent yourself in faith, business, and lifestyle abundance. Now let's level up, ladies, and let's dive in. Welcome back to Real Girl Talk Podcast Radio. I'm Sherry Ricard. Thank you for joining me today. I want to take you on a little journey and tell you a little bit about my story for those of you that are new to Real Girl Talk Podcast in this community. The listening audience here varies. I have anywhere from 13-year-olds all the way up to there's an 82-year-old that I know that listens to my show. So thank you for joining me. I'm talking about things that are relevant to us as women. I want to help inspire you, build you up, and train you the best that I can on how to be successful in faith, business, and lifestyle abundance. So right now, I want you to imagine being a prisoner of hope in a way that fuels your dreams and keeps you moving forward. Even when the odds are stacked against you, you're facing loss, you may be facing some type of devastation, a challenge, any kind of setback. That's the journey that I have been on. And I will tell you, it's been one heck of a ride. So buckle up. We're going to talk about this today because we're going to break free. I'm going to help you break free and rewrite the rules of resilience and becoming a prisoner of hope. So what does it actually mean to be a prisoner of hope? Means it's always believing that something is better just around the corner. Even when things seem impossible in the natural, in the flesh, it's about holding on to your faith, knowing that what keeps us going through those tough times is being a prisoner of hope. So today I want to share with you my story of being a prisoner of hope and how it's helped me overcome and allow myself to heal after a mother's worst nightmare. Because let's face it, life throws us all curveballs, but having hope in your corner can make all the difference in the world. The biggest curveball I have ever faced hit me in the face, literally in the face, going 100 miles an hour in 2007. Life was really smooth. I had just landed a corporate position in healthcare, away from bedside, away from ICU. I was off in California. I had flew there for some training on July 10th, 2007. And after a full day of corporate training, I was in a deep sleep at 2 a.m. with my brain full of new knowledge, 2,000 miles away from home, when my cell phone rings. And you know, if your cell phone rings in the middle of the night, it's never good if it's not the wrong number. You know, the Bible tells us in Romans 12:12, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. And it's really hard to do that when you're in the midst of those challenges, but that phone call wasn't good. And for those of you that have been following me for years, you know that my 17-year-old was tragically killed in a car accident. He was driving, he was by himself, coming home from a friend's house just a little after midnight Central Time, but I was on Pacific Time. So my son Bryant was, I'll just explain to you that he was, and this is a mom talking, right? So, we all say that our kids are perfect when, we look at them and we just see this light and this orb around them. And I'm not saying that my son was perfect, but he was perfect to me. He was a baseball player. He was very good at what he did. He was a 4.2 honor roll student. He was National Honor Society, and he was voted most attractive of his senior class. So beautiful inside and out. And being his mom, yes, I'm probably a little biased, but I don't think that there's any friends that he had that would tell you that that's untrue, what I'm telling you right now. So that being said, my son was killed in a tragic accident. The journey from that has been a roller coaster ride because I can tell you honestly, for about 6 to 8 weeks, it was very difficult for me to get out of the bed. It was a challenge that they don't write books about, right? There's no step, there's no manual for this. You just have to wake up every day and go with what is handed to you, the cards that you were dealt. I had a 7-year-old and I had a 19-year-old. So the 19-year-old and the 17-year-old son were very, very close. My daughter, Christina. So she lost her little brother and her best friend and her confidant. They had been just fast buddies basically their whole life. She was a little over 2 years old when Bryant was born, very mothering to him. And so it was very difficult for her, very difficult for me. The 7-year-old, my youngest, Carson, thought that Bryant was the next best thing next to Jesus. So you can imagine the trials that I had with him. He almost failed second grade. So we had a lot of family dynamics. His friends were suffering, his family was suffering, and I was literally suffering from the inside out. I did not turn to alcohol and drugs like a lot of moms that I've met have. I didn't take my own life like some of the moms that I had met later did. But I did turn to food as a way of comfort. So I continued to gain weight with a smile on my face. And I'm happy to say that in 2024, I am 51 pounds lighter than I was just last year. So I have lost Bryant this year for as long as I had him, 17 years. And it took me that long to really wake up and understand that I was eating all of my emotions. And that's why I wasn't having them. You know, people will call me strong, but in actuality, I don't know how strong I was. I journaled a lot, which was very healing for me. I did a lot of speaking events prior to COVID, spoke to a lot of mother groups. And I was healing to a certain extent, but the only reason why I was healing is because I was turning to God, staying in faith, staying prayed up with M&Ms on the side. And that's full transparency. I don't do that anymore. And I'm going to tell you guys, there is always, always hope in whatever adversity that you're going through. You have to stay full of hope, because without hope, there can be no faith. Right? And faith takes action. And it's hard to put action behind faith if there's no hope there. So I want you to know that you have to stay faithed up. You have to stay fueled up. You have to stay hopeful through all of your adversities. And I'm going to tell you some ways that I did this, and I encourage you to do it as well. Number one, you have to embrace the journey that you're on, because adversity is all part of life's journey, ups and downs, and it often leads to growth and resilience. It makes us stronger. You've heard the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's true. Number two, you have to lean on faith. So it's important that you have to use faith in order to sustain through those tough times. If you don't have faith, it's because you're lacking hope in your life. And it's super important that you stay on top of this. So, you can turn to a devotional read every day. I encourage you to get up, spend some time alone in prayer with God, ask Him to come into your life, ask Him to lead the way through your adversity. And I want you to do this every morning. Just like you have to put gas in your car, you have to stay filled up spiritually. Number three, I want you to surround yourself with support, whether it's a support group or support of friends or family, people that are there for you during difficult times. It's not okay for a friend or a family member to be around you when there's a celebration and not around you through the difficult times. This will help you have discernment between who is truly there for you and supports you and who's not. Number four, I want you to practice some self-care. This was hard for me, and it took me a while to do this, but I will tell you, self-care, oh my gosh, it made the biggest change in my life. Self-care meaning that not that you go and get a massage every week, although you can, there's nothing wrong with that, but self-care meaning taking care of yourself. So what does that look like to you? Does that mean spending time alone for 20 minutes every morning before everyone gets up? Does it mean that you go and get your facials and your massages and you have meditation, you go to yoga, the gym, go for walks, whatever it is that allows you to fuel yourself emotionally to a higher level and also to spend time with God, then that's what you need to do. You have to prioritize self-care and engage in activities that bring you joy and bring you peace. Number five, I want you to stay persistent. It's really easy to give up when things are going really, really south, but you have to preserve and keep pushing forward, knowing that brighter days are always ahead, because you have to believe that what God has in front of you is better than what He has behind you. We can use our experiences and our setbacks to set us up for bigger and better things. The last one is number 6. You have to remain hopeful. Above all, I want you to hold on to hope. It is the beacon that guides you through storms and leads you through to brighter tomorrows. You know, the Bible says in Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. And this is what I had to do because I had no understanding. You can't tell me that I have to understand why God took my child back to heaven where he ascended from. I was never going to understand that. So I had to hold on to Proverbs 3, 5 through 6 that says to trust with all my heart and not lean into my own understanding because I had no understanding. I won't understand it until it's explained to me because there's no earthly words that can make me understand why I had to lose my son. So I had to trust with all my heart into the Lord. And that's what I want you to do. You have to trust with all your heart because let's be real. Have you seen some of the decisions that we make on our own without trusting God? It's like trying a DIY brain surgery with a YouTube tutorial. It's not recommended. So instead of relying on our questionable wisdom, let's acknowledge God with the master plan. What does he have planned for us? Now let's embrace the power of hope together and let's see where it takes us. Thank you for being here. This is a short episode, but I wanted it to be powerful. For those of you that are listening to Real Girl Talk podcast, this is not just inspiration. It's also faith-filled. It's biblical. I have guests on my show that inspire you in both business, lifestyle abundance, and hope and faith because I want you to stay grounded in faith in success. And let's go on this journey together. Thanks for joining me. Make sure that you go and tag me, take a screenshot, leave a review if you haven't already done that, because that really increases the algorithms. It increases the algorithms on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And why do I want to do this? Because I want to reach 1 million women. That's my goal, 1 million women. We need to do that together. Spread faith, spread God's word, and spread hope today for the women around you. God bless. See you next week.